Hey guys, I know it's been a while, but finally there's a brand new video today. But to be fair, the video of today is going to be pretty fun because at least for me, tier lists are pretty fun. But the tier list of today is going to be about a very specific topic and it's going to be about date night fragrances. If you don't know what a date night fragrance is, it's those that are usually warmer, heavier, sexier. And the following is not a requirement, okay? But usually fragrances that are done specifically for date nights typically don't perform that well. They won't necessarily pull attention, but for sure you'll be smelling good from a close range. And for sure you already know what a tier list is, so let's get into it. We'll be starting off with probably the most popular date night fragrance of all time without any discussion. It's Dolce & Gabbana The One EDP. This is a sweet, spicy tobacco fragrance with a hint of citruses, which actually I think it smells really nice. However, the performance on this is terrible. I would actually buy this fragrance if it wasn't for that performance. But for date nights, I think this stuff is good enough. I would probably put this fragrance lower, but considering it's just date nights, I'll have to put this one at A tier because it's really good. And you know, on overall wear, probably you'll have to at least spray like 8 to 9 times to get like a semi-decent performance. But even so, like, it's not good. Following up is my latest purchase, Nishane Fan Your Flames. I just posted a review on this fragrance, but wow, like, this is a dusty, woody, coconut, slightly tropical fragrance. It changes a lot from the opening all the way to the dry down. It's very complex, very high quality. I just absolutely love this fragrance. This is way more than a date night fragrance. It could be worn on nights out, every day. Like, it has monster performance. I love this fragrance so much. S tier. Okay, so now we'll start to get a bit controversial here, because the next fragrance I'm going to be talking about is Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male Parfum. Don't get me wrong, I like this fragrance, okay? I don't think it's bad. I just think this is insanely overrated. Spicy, vanilla, sweet, slightly powdery fragrance. I just think it's nice, okay? It's not this masterpiece so many people talk about. I prefer Ultramel so much more. I prefer the original Le Male so much more. I just don't see the hype in it. I just think it smells okay, and the performance is nothing special either. So for date nights, yeah, it's good, but even then, I just think there are better alternatives out there. So for me, this is gonna go at C tier. Remember, this is just my opinion. Like, some people think this is the greatest designer fragrance of all time. I just think it's very overrated. Continuing, now we're gonna talk about Prada Luna Rossa Black. This fragrance actually reminds me a lot of Le Male Parfum. Not in the sense that they're very similar, but they share a similar vibe. It's very powdery all the way from the beginning to the end. Has light citruses. It's slightly sweet. Performance is just okay, but the smell is very interesting. So this one's going at B tier because, yeah, I kind of like it. Definitely, it's better for dates, but I can also see it working on, you know, everyday winter. And now we'll be talking about the brand, which in my opinion is the GOAT of designer fragrances, Dior Homme Intense. I'm not saying this is the best designer fragrance ever, but it's really good. I'm just saying Dior, in my opinion, has to be at least in discussions for the greatest designer fragrance brand of all time. This one right here has a lot of iris. Like, you have to like iris to like this one. It has a lot of it. It's very woody. It's slightly earthy. It has a lipsticky vibe. Some people even say it has hints of chocolate, which I kind of disagree. Just one that I cannot see being suitable for anything else other than date nights or formal occasions. It smells amazing. The only downside to it is the performance, which is not that good. But for date nights, I think it works. Don't be afraid to overspray this one. S tier, because it's just really good. Now again, some more niche. This time is gonna be Mancera Tonka Cola. This one just smells like a Coke. Like, it's so realistic, it blows my mind. It opens up with a cherry cola opening. I just love the cherry note, by the way. It has hints of citruses too. Like, that opening is amazing, and it just kind of dries down to a vanilla Tonka dry down, which is kind of not that special. This is Mancera, so obviously it performs well. Usually Mancera fragrances perform amazing. This is kind of a polarizing fragrance because some people kind of don't like it, but for me, this is super sexy. I just love this fragrance. Works awesome as well on overall colder weather situations. A tier, because I just really like this one. By the way, until now, I think this is probably my favorite Mancera fragrances. Of course, I have just a lot to try still, but for now, at least from what I've tried, I think this one might be my favorite one. This next one is kind of a sad one because every time I just look at this fragrance, I get sad. It's gonna be Armani Code. And I'm not talking about that new one because that new one is just mid. I'm talking about the old one because that old one was so special. It opened up with a lot of citruses, with a leather undertone, but the star of this fragrance was the anise note, which added some very soft spices. It also had a Tonka tobacco dried on, which was slightly creamy. This was just amazing. The performance though, that's just very average, but I just dislike what they did to this line because this one was so good. And not only this one, like the flankers as well were amazing. I just honestly do not understand why did they do this to this line that was just so good. But yeah, the OG coat was amazing. This is going at A tier. Next up is gonna be Tom Ford Lost Cherry. Now this fragrance gets hated a lot online because of its longevity, and I kind of agree, like the longevity isn't the best, but this fragrance is what made me realize I just love the cherry note, and it's probably my favorite fragrance note. This one, obviously, as the name suggests, opens up with a lot of cherry that is very sweet, but it's always slightly sour, you know, typical cherry smell. But then the almond comes in, you know, making it slightly nutty, and the dry down has that vanilla that combines so well with the cherry. This for me is Tom Ford's best cherry fragrance. I really like this one. Yes, it has some issues on performance, but for dates, I think it's really good. So this one's going at A tier. Coming up next, we'll be talking about Dolce & Gabbana Intenso, which is kind of a funny fragrance because I was just starting out on fragrances when I bought this, and I just thought, you know, Intenso, this probably is super strong, and it's very misleading because the name is Intenso, but this is not intense at all. This is very green, it's herbal, it has a lot of lavender in there. It uses tobacco in a very weird way because this is also slightly soapy, but the tobacco kind of complements it really well. It's just very weird. I won't lie though, this one smells pretty good. Like when I first smelled this, I really liked it. You know what, I'll put it at B tier, but because of that misleading name, and I was just so pissed back then because I was like, where's the performance in this? And it just doesn't perform well, and the name is very misleading. So because of that, it's going at C tier, but yeah, it smells really good. Don't get why Dolce & Gabbana typically releases fragrances that smell really good, but for some reason they just never perform. Coming up next is gonna be one that it's very polarizing, which is Orto Parisi Bocanera. This is just a very dark, dry chocolate fragrance mixed with a lot of spices. It also has a leather note that just envolves everything in, and also has a very strong animalic oud note in there. This is a fragrance that I definitely cannot see myself wearing every day, but for formal events or just date nights or overall just like, you know, nighttime events, this could work. I wouldn't go as far as saying that this is unwearable. In fact, I think it's one of the more wearable Orto Parisi fragrances, but it's definitely polarizing. It's not an easy like. So if you can pull this off on a date, like, my respects. I've never smelled a fragrance so interesting, so unique, and yet so mysterious in my life. I really like this one, but it's very polarizing. So it's gonna go at A tier. Your date might love this or might hate this, like there's no in between. Now coming up next is BDK Parfums Gris Charnel, but the X-Straight version. The X-Straight is just darker, it's heavier, it's sweeter, and the EDP is just lighter, airier, but honestly both work great because they're not that different. It has a beautiful cardamom thick black tea opening, but the dry down on this thing is absolutely amazing because the tonka bean comes in, the vanilla that's added in the X-Straight comes in, makes it creamy, sweeter, and mixed so well with, you know, that cardamom, that black tea. The iris note is just kind of looming in there constantly. Yeah, this is just great. The X-Straight lasts way longer than the EDP, but projects less. My personal preference is the EDP because it's much more versatile. I kind of just see the X-Straight being too heavy and just working great on nights, whereas the EDP, I kind of just find it way more versatile. You can wear it on any occasion you want, but specifically on date nights, the X-Straight beats the EDP. This is one of the best date night fragrances you can get, honestly, S tier. I'm gonna be honest here, I'm just adding this because I'm not comfortable in putting Le Male Parfum and Intenso as the lowest ones. It's gonna be Phantom Intense. I just dislike this line as a whole. The only one that I kind of just think it's decent is the Parfum. It's very headache inducing, especially this one because this is just extremely sweet. I do not feel this line at all. The bottles are cool. Yeah, not good. D tier. Take a look at that final tier list. Remember, this is just my opinion. There's no right or wrong. You can obviously put that D tier on S, that S tier on A, and etc. But yeah guys, that was the video for today. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you very much for making it to the end of the video.